Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. Let's go. Richard left a nice message, even though it looks like he's going to sleep. Appreciate that, Richard. What's up, JC? Let's go. Anthony, yes, sir. Luis, you excited? This is a great one, guys. This is a good one. I haven't got a little graph going on right here, so we're going to get cooking. Don't worry. All right, I'm going to pull up the chat on my phone. Make sure to get your workbook. I pinned it already. And we're going to get to cooking. Hey, someone's putting in a bid on a house. That's fire. Congratulations. We got 21 people in here already. Let's go. Everyone, make sure to grab your workbook. I pinned it. Jilly Pop, congratulations. Himothy, how you doing, my man? Nice to see you. Jay, Anthony, y'all ready? I'm ready. I spent all day listening to Dr. David R. Hawkins recordings so I could be dialed for you guys. I'm dialed. Haha, Chans, Sacred Jane, what's up? Julie, oh, it's a Friday night type of deal. 28 people, Preston, what's up? What's up, handsome? You guys ready? 27 of you already. Julie from Argentina. All right, Julie, this is for you. This is me and my Messi poster. I got a Kobe one on my wall. Rambo, it's Saturday morning. He's ready. Thomas. Oh, you dialed. Messi. Let's go. All right, 36 of you. Make sure to all get your workbook, right? We're going to give it like 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, give some time for everyone to get in. How are you guys doing today? What? Tell me where you're coming in from. Right now. I want to know. Where are you watching this live stream from? Preston, you watching with Emmett right now? What's up, Emmett? We got Phoenix. We got Vancouver, British Columbia. It's Australia time. That's why it's the morning, huh? Anthony, LA. Happy Go Rucky, Randy. What's up, my guy? Portland, let's go. India. We're worldwide. Oh, we got the Illinois. Chance is calling in from Chi-Town, Chirac. Lou, Iowa. We got another Phoenix, another Minnesota. Thomas, Santa Barbara. Let's go. Teo, what's up? Luis says, going to a 7-day Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar. What do you recommend I should do before going? Oh, Tom, what's up? New York. Jilly Pop from Pittsburgh. That's where she's getting a crib. We got Torrance. Andres, that's California, right? Torrance, California. Luis, I'm going to do a Q&A at the end of this stream where I'll just sit down and we can chat and I can answer that. But while we get into this, I want to make sure everyone gets their workbook and we can just get straight into the sauce. How about that? All right, 43 of you. I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready to get cooking. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready. I got a great one for you. How to let go of the old you and unlock your power to create, right? Whatever you want from this life. Ones rolling in. Also, shout out you guys. I want to take this moment to say thank you so much. We crossed 10K subs on Monday. 10K subs on Monday, and we're already at 11.2K. So just want to give you guys your flowers right now because I wouldn't be able to do this without you. I won't be able to come here live on my Friday night. We got March Madness going on, and I'm choosing to spend my Friday night with you guys. And I'm a big sports guy. If that says anything, I hope you guys know I genuinely care about showing up and making sure I can give you guys some value. We can get you guys everything you need to thrive. Preston says Cooper Flag. Andre says, what is March Madness? All right, guys, 46 of you here already. So you guys are ready to get into it? You guys are ready to get into it? Make sure to keep dropping ones, and we'll get straight to cooking. So if you have the workbook in big text, the first sentence I put down, I wrote, if you are in a lower state of mind, you do not know other realms of possibility exist, right? That statement is going to be why transformation can be so hard, right? So I've got this graph drawn out right here. Don't worry, just look up Dr. David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness if you want this. The only real point that we're going to be focused on for the teaching is going to be the calibration level of 200, right? This is where we experience a quantum shift that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. If you guys have been consuming my content, you know that I do not experience boundaries with who I pull value from, who I pull information from. My goal is to show you the synchronicities of all the greatest teachers, show you how they are all preaching the same thing, that there is no difference. And this level is going to be super important for your transformation. But let me make sure the chat comes back up, because it's my channel and I get ads. Like, what is this? Mario, he's at the gym, but he made it. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, Andres, everyone drop a like, drop a like. It's going to push it out to strangers. We're expanding the family. We're expanding the community. We got 56 off the bat. All right. We're going to get into it. Now, I have 2 questions in the workbook, right? 2 questions that are going to be answered over the course of today's training. The first question is going to be, why is it so important to transcend lower states, right? We're going to go transcend lower states. And then the second question is going to be, how does this equate to a new life, right? How does this equal transformation? Those are the 2 things that I want you guys to get your mind ready for as we go about this training, because I'm going to show you the invisible ceiling that you are not aware exists in your transformation, right? So today we're going to be pulling a primary amount of our wisdom from Dr. David R. Hawkins, right? Letting go, the pathway to surrender in yellow, and power versus force. That's what the entire workbook is built around. I also threw in some Taoism, threw in some Dispenza, right? Yeah, JC says neuroplasticity. Exactly. That's what we're going to be talking about too. So the whole reason we want to transcend lower states of consciousness, right? Our goal is to get to a place of courage. That is the calibration of 200. If you are not experiencing change, you are in a lower state of calibrative consciousness, right? You're experiencing shame, guilt, grief, fear. Desire is on here, right? A lot of you guys have a desire to manifest. Desire is it's significant energetically because you're signifying that you aren't abundant. You're not experiencing gratitude, right? So we have to shift our level of awareness to look at a glass half full type of deal, right? So we have to overcome desire. We have to overcome anger. We have to overcome pride, right? Pride is perception. It's how we are viewed in life. If you are living for your perception of how the external world views you, right? Your acquaintances, your friends, your family, your colleagues, you're experiencing a lower state of consciousness. And the final thing to where we get exponential growth, where the powers of life start to spiral up and you start to experience the energy and enter transcended states, is going to be at a calibration of courage. Now, how does this enable a new life? One sec, I got to get my sheet ready. So by freeing your mind and emotions from old constraints, right, the familiar experience that we do not want to have, you unlock an innate creative power and open yourself to a fulfilling, harmonious, and overall grander experience, right? When you step into a state of courage and beyond, you actively shape your destiny in alignment with higher consciousness, right? Now I'm gonna take these complex subjects and I'm gonna make them as simple as possible. I want you guys right now, I got 55 of you guys right here. In one word, give me a synonym for consciousness, right? I'm calling on the collective right now. I need a 1-word answer for a synonym of consciousness, and I want it to be simple. Preston says love. Andre says frequency. All right. Taya says awake. Yep, we're getting there. All right, here we go. All the answers are coming in. Awareness. Awareness is the one that comes to mind for me, right? Awareness is a perspective. You can expand your sense of awareness. When we expand our sense of awareness, we are actually rising in consciousness, right? You are aware that you can be experiencing grief, but you choose to experience acceptance, right? Grief is 75. You go up, what is that? 275 points in consciousness calibration by being aware. So awareness is technically a choice, because to be aware means we are placing our focus on something. When we are placing our focus on something, we are directing our God-given universal currency. Our God-given universal currency is our energy. It's our time, right? It's where we give the resource that God gave us with this finite experience. So I want to give you guys all the tools you need to expand your sense of awareness into higher states of consciousness. When you experience higher states of consciousness, your entire perception of reality and yourself changes in this moment. That's why I do not have some type of like get rich quick or, oh my God, you just need to do this and manifest this and journal this and affirm that. I want it to be quicker than that. I want to show you guys that you can just remove the resistance in between you and the reality you want to experience, and your entire perception changes. Now, when we do that, and when we overcome the lower states of consciousness, by the end of this workbook and by the end of this training, I'm going to show you guys how to integrate this into your everyday life so it is no longer just an aha moment. I want you guys to drop a 1 if you've watched my content or someone else's content and you've had an aha moment, but you haven't been able to sustain it in everyday life. I want you to drop a 1 if that's something you experience. Ivan has had his aha moment. Preston has. Jane, what's up, Clouds? Thomas, Tom, Ryan, Chance, Anthony, Julie. Right? I just want to show you guys that this is a common experience. It took me 4 years to integrate this type of awareness and this type of knowledge into my life, and I'm going to give you guys a shortcut. I want to play chutes and ladders with you guys and just get you straight to where you need to be. So let's move into the first part, and I want to help you guys get a deeper understanding of the bigger picture, right? Now, as I draw this out, I want you guys to tell me why resistance is the thing preventing us from internalizing and transcending the lower states of consciousness. Why is resistance our enemy? I want to see what you guys come up with right now. We got 63 of you here right now. L, that's nice to hear that you've done a better job of sustaining. Exactly. Thomas says, what we resist persists, right? Resistance leads to persistence. And persistence is just a cyclical nature. I want you to drop a 1. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've been on a cycle that feels like a karmic loop or just an experience of reality in life that you want to get off of, right? For me, that used to be numbing myself with smoking weed. It was a cycle. Life would get good. I'd go to the gym, take care of myself, eat healthy, and then I'd get high and it all go to shit. Full transparency, that's what would happen. All right. With these live streams, one of my main goals to show you guys is that we are more alike than different. And because we are more alike than different, the same solution will apply if we increase our level of awareness. Because the ultimate state of consciousness and enlightenment is unity. It is oneness. What is oneness? No separation. So I want to show you guys how the same revelations will apply to you and transform your life. Now, according to Dr. Hawkins, resistance is more than just a mental stance. It's an energetic lock that keeps us tethered to lower levels of consciousness, such as fear, guilt, or anger. All right, let's say we get angry, or let's say we get fearful. And this is us right here, and we're walking on the path of life, right? We're like, oh my God, I have all this momentum. I want to go this way. But right here, it's going to feel like an energetic ceiling. Why is that the case? Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys have experienced an energetic ceiling. Like if you just hit this brick wall and you're like, it feels like an energetic brick wall and I can't transform. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've had that experience. AG says, holy shit, the classes are off. No, they're on. The flow is just a little crazy right now, so we got to keep it in check. So in a broader sense, resistance emerges from the ego's survival mechanism. Now, I want to show you guys, and I really want to shine a light on the fact that our negative responses to things that happen in life they're wired into us, and they are not us, right? They are not our true concept of self, and the things that happen are not absolute truths. Because if I can show you this, and by the end of this live stream, if you guys can truly internalize this knowledge, there will be no thing that can get in your way, because I expanded your level of awareness, right? That's the secret. So the ego clings to the known. It clings to the familiar. It clings to what we perceive as safe, right? The ego doesn't care about you. The ego just wants to protect itself. It's a survival mechanism. It's going to place blame on every other thing in the external world to make sure it survives. And in order to make sure it survives, it wants to make sure it thrives. So if it's placing blame on another thing, and it's like, Grant, you don't need to worry about it's the weed. It's the weed that's the problem, right? It's the girl that's the problem. It's the job that's the problem. Then you're never truly looking in the mirror to see that your ego and your survival mechanism and the lower states of consciousness that you are tethered to is actually the thing preventing you from getting through that ceiling, right? This is why we feel stuck in certain patterns or behaviors, because we are subconsciously resisting any form of change that threatens our sense of control. I'm going to reread that. This is why we often feel stuck in certain patterns or behaviors, right? If we can't break through fear, if we can't break through anger, that's because we are subconsciously resisting any forms of change that threatens our sense of control. Now, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you want a tool that I use to overcome any type of resistance. Drop a 1 in the chat if you want me to just give you the sauce right off the bat. I want to show you guys how you can increase your level of awareness and learn to overcome the resistance that we're going to face. I got 74 of you here. Those ones need to be rolling in. Oh, yeah. Matt says, Juan, I'm dead. Yeah, all right. We got ones. All right. I'm going to give you a secret right now. How many of you guys remember when I talk about non-duality, right? The reason I talk about non-duality and overcoming the concept of good and bad is because it will be how you deal with your egos fighting back, okay? If the ego is subconsciously resisting any form of change that threatens our sense of control, it's going to prevent us from having a positive experience. I know this is a lot of you guys right now. We just need to subconsciously reprogram ourselves to understand that happiness, joy, and fulfillment in these elevated states can be a new normal. This is the secret. Your ego is addicted to protecting itself. So if you have subconsciously programmed yourself to have a negative experience, right? If something doesn't go your way, you just fall back into a state of fear. Or if something doesn't go your way and you get angry about it, that's familiar, right? And this is why it's so important to talk about the neuroscience, because you're going to learn that it's not just a psychological response, it's a physiological response in your body and the energy. So I want to show you guys how we can overcome this concept through an elevated state of awareness, a transcended state of mind, and create change. Now, to do that, we need to talk about the ego and brain reinforcement, right? Joe Dispenza explains that our brains become chemically addicted to repetitive thoughts and emotions. If those emotions are negative, anger, anxiety, or shame, we get stuck in cyclical loops of thinking and feeling. If you guys are stuck in a loop like that right now, I want you to know that it is not you and it is not your permanent state. It is literally what the software and the hardware of our body, our biological being, is programmed for, so it's going to run it. Now, all we need to do is change that program consistently through daily habits and daily practices in order to experience an elevated state of consciousness. Now, this is the secret, right? In an elevated state of awareness, in an elevated state of mind, when you have access to this information, you're going to realize that you can get love from a variety of sources, right? So if you're looking for love in an external source, right? The girl that won't text you back, or the dad that walked away, or the mom that was abusive. If you're looking for love there, then you're never going to find it because it's in an external source. But if we can implement daily disciplines and daily practices through gratitude, through journaling, through meditation, to achieve an elevated state of awareness of love, you are programming yourself for that. And when you are programming yourself for that, you're going to attract more of that. So you are going to attract a beautiful and loving partner. You are going to attract a job you love. This is the secret. This is how we hack the universe. And you guys just need to be patient. You guys just need to trust me, right? You need to trust me, because this is how you're going to be able to make one shift and experience change in everything. Because if I can change your perspective, I can change the way that you view the world and you view yourself. And if you can stay in that state long enough with the information I'm going to give you over this live stream, you are dialed. You're going to have all the tools you need to tackle the invisible ceilings. Now, by recognizing the role of neurochemistry and conditioning, we realize that resistance is not just a psychological concept, but also a physiological state. And it can be unwound through conscious effort and repatterning, right? That's how we reprogram the subconscious mind, is through patterns. Now, I like to talk about Taoism because the Taoist thought of life teaches us to go with the flow, right? Go with the flow is such a simple concept, but what if I told you that it was reduced to a simple phrase to experience or to express a level of enlightenment? And how does it express this level of enlightenment? Because understanding that forceful opposition, right? If we resist, it persists. The forceful opposition, you are going against life's currents, causing more suffering. So your act of resisting it, trying to put up that Heisman and stiff arm, the experience you don't want, is actually attracting it more because you're resisting it. You need to realize that life is like waves, and that's why I talked about the universal laws. Because once you understand that things come and go, they ebb and flow, and that your ego is actually just identifying and trying to get to an end goal and just be like, oh my God, when is there ever going to be a finish line? Is this the experience I have? Is this who I am? That gets exhausting, ladies and gentlemen. That gets exhausting. All right. You guys are all set. Is this all making sense? I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. I got 89 of you here right now. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. Oh yeah, it's making sense. Good. This is foundational knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Right? I could teach you guys about business. I could teach you about making money. I could teach you how to pick up girls, but that is just such shallow information. This information will transform your life forever. So that's why I'm dedicating mine to it, because it changed mine. And if it changed mine, it can change yours, because we are no separate. That's the secret. All right, now let's talk about why 200, right? Over here we have courage. Why is 200 the threshold for quantum transformation? If you guys have the workbook up right now, I want you to drop in the chat why courage is the threshold for transformation. See what you guys come up with. I'm calling on the collective right now. I got 88 of you here. Why is courage the threshold for transformation? And even if you don't have the workbook, think about it. Why would courage be the thing that allows us to transform? And why does this have a butterfly-like effect? I want to see what you guys say. Bill says it's about overcoming fear. That's great. You get outside your comfort zone. Yep. Change, overcome. No fear of the unknown, right? So courage is quantum. Now I want you guys to look at the spectrum right here. What follows courage? Neutrality. Why does it follow neutrality? And why do I talk about non-duality? Because when you experience courage, you realize that, hey, regardless of what life throws my way, whether it's good or bad, I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to be strong. I have the tools. I am courageous enough to face whatever life throws my way. But let's go back to what the ego is going to throw at you to prevent you from changing, right? Being courageous is saying, hey, ego, I know this is going to be hard. I know you just want to feel safe. I know you just want to feel loved. I just know that you want to make sure you survive. Okay. But I have courage and trust in myself that we are going to be fine with whatever life throws our way. This is why it's a significant quantum shift, because it changes everything at a core fundamental level. Yes, C3PO says, courage is fearless. Yes, you power through adversity, fear or not. Nice, Clouds. I like that. Nick says it brings about new outcomes. Great. But let's dive into it a little more. So you want to stay out of the lower states of consciousness, right? This right here, because this is actually going to drain your energy. Drop a 1 if you just haven't had the energy. If some days you wake up and you're like, I can't do this. Like my body, whatever I didn't drink enough water, didn't eat enough. I do not have the energy to do this. Drop a 1 in the chat if you haven't had the energy. I know this is a common thing. I woke up this morning and didn't have the energy to run 5 miles. I didn't. But I had courage, right? I started there. I said, hey, I got a choice. My day can go one of two ways. I can sit around. I can wait for the live stream at 6:30. It's 9 in the morning. It's like 9 hours. Or I can have the courage to embark on my day, regardless of what life throws my way, right? The neutrality. And then I was willing to embark on that journey. And then I accepted whatever life threw my way, right? So if you are in a lower state of consciousness, right, the fear, desire, the anger, or the pride, these are going to be states that actually drain your energy. Why? So let's pretend this is like the dual calibration, right? Everything right here is the positive energy. Everything right here is the negative energy. If you study anything about spiral dynamics, you know that energy and vortexes work like this. So if you are in a lower state, if you are giving your time, energy, and attention and your energy to shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, think about it. These are chemicals. These are impulses of an experience. But if you experience fear, that feeling, whatever you associate that feeling with, it could be anxiety, right? Your mind is going to create a new thought. What they say is you cannot control the first thought, but you can control the second thought. If you control the first thought and you send yourself in a positive spiral, then you're going to experience an upward trend in your day, right? But if you feed that negative thought, you're going to experience a downward trend. This is very important to understand because you do not need to package your identity and make your decision about, oh my God, Grant is a fearful person. Grant is a fearful person. Yes, I experience fear, but I have the courage to move beyond it. I just made a decision in direction of a positive energy spiral. Jay says, when I get reckless, I lose my energy, then I'm in a lower state of consciousness. Yes. Josue says, when we are in the higher states, how do we observe them and make them normal in our everyday life? We are going to get to that. We're going to get to that. That's like the final part of this workbook, but we need to go through all this information first. But we needed to talk about courage. Because when you cross that 200 calibrated threshold of consciousness, once your baseline emotional state is one of courage or higher, the brain begins to form pathways that align with possibility rather than limitation. All right, what is the quantum, ladies and gentlemen? Infinite possibilities. I'm just going to write possible. Drop a 1 if this is making sense right now. Drop a 1 if it makes sense that courage actually opens the door to infinite possibility. What's up, Sutter? What's up, Chris Sutter? Courage opens the door to infinite possibility. So we step into a quantum state. When we step into a quantum state, we can begin to transform. We can begin to leverage our power as a creator, right? Unlock your power to create through courage to experience transformation. This is the secret, ladies and gentlemen. I get a lot of ones, a lot of ones. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so why is this important? When you transcend lower states, you aren't just feeling better momentarily, you're entering a new energetic environment, one that fosters creativity, integrity, and genuine self-expression, right? This is why we have the saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything, which is why I'm trying to show you the state that you observe is going to be the experience you have. It's simple. This is how energy in the universe works. So, chapter 3, letting go of the ego and cultivating radical subjectivity. Now, let's break this down. Radical subjectivity. All right, well, I got you here. 88 of you. If you have the workbook, what does it say radical subjectivity is? What does it say radical subjectivity is? Thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. But I may be a teacher to some of you, but I just want to be a friend, right? This is what I wish my friends would have told me, or I would have had people or a community to talk about this with. Matt says it's observing the ego. Yes. On a grander spectrum, it's just seeing through the illusion, right? The ego is an illusion. It's an illusion of separation. And we can see through the illusion when we observe the ego. Happy Go Reki says, the practice of observing the ego as thoughts, fears, and desires without identifying them as your true self. Thank you for bringing that up. So step 1, do not identify with the illusion. Why do we not want to identify with the illusion, right? If the illusion is fear, if it is desire, if it is things that do not serve us and the life we want to create, why would we claim our identity? To be those things, to be that illusory state of ego. Because then you're collapsing the experience of desire, you're collapsing the experience of fear, you're collapsing the experience of anger. You're channeling this energy by identifying with these thoughts and emotions, which is why we need to become an observer, right? This is why in some of my videos I talk about expanding your concept of self, because once you realize you are connected to the divinity, if you are connected to the divinity of the experience, right? We're not the ego. All right, ego is the lowercase self, right? And then the divine, or God, whatever you believe in, is the uppercase self. I'm just going to write it in all caps. Once you expand your concept of self, you go from individuality to oneness. You're going to realize that you do not need to identify with the impulses of the mind. This is the secret. This shift is monumental because it undercuts the ego's favorite strategy, which is to keep you distracted and reactive. All right, in everyday life, how many of you guys find yourself distracted from your goals or reactive to things you don't want to experience? Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat. Chris says chef is cooking. Friday night, we in the stew. This shift is monumental. Okay. I know this is an experience you guys have because I have it too. I have it too. We're no separate. Look at that. I'm literally calling on the collective consciousness right now. That's going to be a thing in these sessions. I'm going to call on the collective conscious and the collective unconscious. And I'm going to show you that we're tapped into the same thing and that our illusion of the ego and our illusion of separation is actually no different. I got 99 of you here in the chat right now. Go look at that chat for me. Look at how many people share the same experience. This information is rare. This information has been gatekept from us, which is why I'm choosing to bestow it upon you, because this will be the thing to transform your life. So Dr. David R. Hawkins describes radical subjectivity as the practice of observing the ego. When you observe the ego, right, the thoughts, the fears, the desires, without identifying them as your true self, you're going to realize you are not the thinker of these thoughts. I don't know if you guys have had a similar experience to me, but for example, this morning I woke up and my mind was like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. What if your video doesn't do well? What if no one shows up to the live? Are you going to work out? You feel like shit from eating last night? Why is that just dumping it on me? I do not want to think those things. I do not want to think those things, in my mind just threw my way this morning. But I knew it wasn't me, right? I knew that in a deeper sense of awareness and a deeper sense of self, that couldn't be me, because why would I do that to myself? So I want you guys to start thinking like that. I want you to start expanding your sense of awareness. Because when you expand your sense of awareness, you're going to realize that you're just the observer. You have to understand, when you resist something, right? You resist that anxiety, it's going to persist. And the more it persists, the more you're going to identify with it, because the more it's in your realm of experience. This is why it happens. 102 people. Let's go. We broke the threshold. We need 7 more. 7 more to break the record. 7 more. 109 was the one on the last stream. So I'm just putting that out in the universe right now. Cloud says you are the observer. Louise says, bro, you just opened my mind. What the fuck? I was always on that issue. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. So let's touch on the Taoist Wu Wei. Why is the Taoist Wu Wei? And I'm always pulling out the Chinese philosophy for you guys. Because when we combine Wu Wei, which translates to effortless action, with the radical subjectivity, right? Observing the thoughts, you can navigate life with calm detachment, seeing each situation as it is while trusting your intuitive guidance. Doesn't that sound nice? Drop a 1 in the chat if you want to navigate life with calm detachment, where you're just riding the waves, where you are unbothered, where you're in like hey, whatever happens, I can deal with it. I have the courage, right? That's an amazing feeling. I feel it right now. I don't know if you guys feel it. I feel it right now. And when you do that, you can see each situation as it is. When you see each situation as it is, you can trust your intuitive guidance. But you cannot trust yourself if you are operating from a state of ego, from a lower state of consciousness. I want you to drop a 2 in the chat. That's making sense. Before that moves on, I want you to drop a 2 in the chat. I got 102 of you here right now. I want to know that it's making sense. And drop a 1.5 if you're still kind of like, we're figuring it out. I need a reading on where you guys are at, right? 110 people, record broken. Let's go. That's a big win for me. I'm grateful for that. Love you all. Just throwing that out there before we keep it pushing. Oh, 111 in the chat. That's only divine timing, right, ladies and gentlemen? 111 in the chat. Let's go. We got some 1.5s. All right. All right. 111 of you here right now. Now none of you can leave. I lied. All right, 3 of you left. All right. So this is important to understand, because the ego, when it's left unchecked, creates separation, right? It creates conflict, and it creates relentless striving. Are you guys tired of relentless striving? Are you tired of always feeling like you need to do something more? Are you always tired of feeling like you're not enough? I know I am. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm embarking on this journey, because all of the gurus and sages talk about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go find it for myself. I'm 25. We're going to go figure this out, and we're going to share it with all my friends on the internet. All of you watching my live stream right now, we are walking this journey together. Yeah, Anthony says, heck yeah, I'm tired of that. Klaus says, why not me? Exactly. Why not me? When you start to observe the ego, practically, this means your daily stress will diminish. This means that your relationships will become less contentious, and you find a more effortless flow in your endeavors. All right. For those of you if there have ever been moments where you've been non-reactive, right? Where you're just in your calm, you're in your flow state where you're like, hey, I'm just going with the flow. Like, you guys can't touch me. Like, don't worry. How peaceful is life? Drop a 1 in the chat if it's peaceful. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've experienced that peace where you're just riding the waves, where you're like, whatever happens, happens. We've all experienced it. I know it. I know we've all experienced that peace. Exactly. So my goal is to show you how we can make this more consistent. Because if this is more consistent, then we are going to identify with that experience. Now, the ultimate level is just never identifying with anything, right? This is where we get into complex spirituality, but we need to solve the lower levels of consciousness first, right? There's an entire game up here. But my one goal is to show you guys that this is not about ascension. It's not about ascension. Ascension is my word. Stumbled right there. This is about ascension, right? Because think about it. If the ego is the illusion and the ego is trying to survive and it creates the fear, it creates the desire, it creates the anger, it creates the pride. You guys are picking up what I'm putting down here? Anything that takes us away from the oneness is ego. It's the only thing that causes separation. That's why you have yin and yang. If we didn't have that duality, we wouldn't have this experience. Drop a 1 in the chat if that's making sense. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. You can drop a 0.5 if it's not making sense. I need to know. You guys need to be honest with me. I want you to know that this is a safe space right here. This is where real transformation happens. And real transformation happens when we are radically transparent and aware. Kaisar says 0.5. All right, we'll stay on this a little longer. We got to take care of our boy Kaisar too. The ego is what creates separation, right? The ego is the thing that identifies. The reason you experience fear when starting a business is because you identify with the idea that it won't work out. But it's not you. That's not your true self. The ego isn't the absolute truth. So it's identifying with an experience that's not real because the ego created the illusion. So there's this survival mechanism in our mind trying to keep itself alive, and it's using fear, it's using desire, it's using anger to keep itself comfortable. Imagine it's just, you haven't shined a light on your ego yet, right? Your ego's in the back of your mind guiding your direction subconsciously through the programming. And it's saying, I'm going to find 1,000,001 reasons not to transform. And I'm going to find 1,000,001 reasons not to transform because I want to stay comfortable. I want to stay in a physiological and a psychological state of homeostasis. Now, if I remember anything from high school AV biology, or just biology in general, homeostasis is when an ecosystem is at peace, right? When all systems in a natural ecosystem are at ease and they're working as they should be. Now, if we are programming our subconscious that doesn't know the difference between good or bad, ego doesn't know the difference between good or bad. It just knows what it's programmed to do. The subconscious mind just knows that it's supposed to give you a familiar experience. And that familiar experience is fear, desire, and anger. You're gonna experience more of that. Yes, Cloud says transformation and transmutation is uncomfortable. Exactly, Luis. You are not your ego. Your fear, isn't that liberating? Drop a 6 in the chat if that's liberating. Drop a 6 in the chat if it's liberating to know that you are not the darkness. You are not the version of yourself you don't want to experience and that you can do something about it. Drop a 6 in the chat if it's liberating, right? That's what this is supposed to feel like. I want you guys to feel lighter. I want you guys to feel energetic when you're here on this live stream. Because this is the wisdom. I sought this out for 5 years. I went damn near into states of psychosis to find this information and navigate these tides. And I want to make this as peaceful as possible for you. I want to show you guys that the resistance and the limitations we place in between us and the experience we want to have are self-imposed. And when we realize that that version that is imposing those ceilings of fear, desire, and anger aren't even us, You're like, oh my God. So I'm just this lucid form of energy and consciousness that can do whatever I want. I can literally do whatever I want. That's an amazing and liberating experience, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is going to be a big one for you guys. We're moving on to point 4. Point 4 is major. Zenis is like, how do you get rid of anxiety? By stopping the actions that cause the anxiety, right? Thoughts, emotions, actions, belief. All right, carp, whatever. We're all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Jay, I love that. He says, the only thing that is constant is change. If you don't, you will suffer. I love that. Luis, thank you for the kind words. I'm just trying to serve the world. I'm just trying to leave it better than I found it. Because this place fucked me up. But it made me who I am, and I'm here to do something about it. So this is what discernment is going to be, right? Discernment is how we decide what is bad or what is good for us. To discern is danger or nah. Damn, I'm still 25. Discernment is how we're going to decide what's dangerous or not, right? It's going to be an internal level of awareness that allows us to discern a reality, to discern an experience. Now, what Dr. David R. Hawkins, what metaphor? If any of you guys have the workbook open right now, if you don't have the workbook, there's 100 of you here right now. I pinned it in the chat. And it's an entire workbook breaking down everything we're talking about tonight. So go get that. Now, what is the metaphor Dr. David R. Hawkins use? Dr. David R. Hawkins uses what to describe discernment? Tigers versus kitties. I think this is a great metaphor, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great metaphor. Because without proper discernment, right, if we are in a lower level of consciousness, if we're in a state of fear, desire, or anger, then we are in a clouded emotional state. Clarity of perception happens after courage. Because courage moves into neutrality. And what is neutrality? Not being afraid of the good or the bad. What happens after neutrality? You're willing to deal with whatever life throws your way. Right? So our goal is to get here. My goal is to have you guys here in a state where we can actually create change. Now, what's scarier, a tiger or a kitty? Well, if you're in a lower state of consciousness, you're not going to know. You're going to think that a cat, oh my God, it's nice. And then whoosh, tiger scratches all over your face. But because you're in a clouded emotional state. That's why. But kitties are just these thoughts and illusions of the ego that aren't dangerous. We don't need to feed them. We don't need to treat them like a tiger. That's why discernment is so important to understand. Because I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if there are kitties in your life that you're treating like tigers. If you know that there are little small things in your life that are treating like the end of the world, drop a 1 in the chat. This is a safe space. I want you guys to be radically transparent. There's things in my life that are kitties that I treat like tigers. Full transparency. That's my 1 in the chat right there, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to know when you consume my content and you come to these live streams, it is a safe place for transformation. I literally want to merely just create an environment where you feel comfortable to change. I want to create an environment where you feel courageous enough to embark on that journey. You've got 102 people here with you right now that are trying to do the same thing. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them. So I want you to choose courage. Courage is a choice. All right, so how do we deal with these tigers and kitties? If you are below a level of 200 on the consciousness spectrum, you're going to misjudge or fail to see harmful influences. This is important to understand. This goes beyond mere naiveness. It's a lack of clarity born out of emotional fog. And this is that fog. I'll even draw a little cloud right here. right? This fog, imagine we're in a plane. Boom. There's us in the cockpit. And we're flying this way. When we go through the fog, if we don't know how to use our instruments in flight, then we are not going to be able to handle this cloud. We're going to think we're spiraling down when we're driving straight. But when you consume information like in my content, through the workbooks, through the live streams, you're going to be introduced to the proper tools and the instruments to navigate that emotional state before you get to courage, where the sun is shining, ladies and gentlemen. The sun is shining over here, and life gets better because the life forces start to work in your energy and compound in your favor. It starts to spiral up. That's the beautiful thing about this. So you can achieve clear perception through emotional mastery. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza points out that strong emotions can cloud our ability to perceive reality accurately. When fear rules our psyche, we become hypervigilant or easily manipulated. When you're in a state of fear, you're hypervigilant. Every corner you turn, every alley you look down, you think there's going to be a murderer. That's what hypervigilance is. And because you're in a state of fear, you're going to be easily manipulated by the ego and coerced back into activities that send you into your familiar experience. Drop a 1 in the chat if that's making sense right now. Drop a 1 in the chat if it makes sense that the ego uses fear to get you into a susceptible state where it can coerce you back into a familiar experience. I want you to drop a 2 in the chat if I'm cooking right now. Because if I were at the chat, I would put a 2 in. I would put a 2 in. Drop a 2 in the chat if this information is actually good. Like if you guys are actually getting something from this. Drop a 2 in the chat if this information, if you're walking out of here with courage. Edgar says, let him cook. Oh yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking, ladies and gentlemen. Tell Chef Curry we got the 3rd Splash Bro out here. We're cooking. All right, now let's talk about the Taoism. I like to use this as a synthesis point. All right. The Taoist thought in life emphasizes harmonizing inner energies to see the world as it is. Anxiety, anger, or chronic stress throw us out of alignment, making us reactive instead of responsive. When you are in this calibration of consciousness, you're going to be responsive, which is the same thing as reaction, but with discernment. You're not going to react and make an immediate choice. You're going to respond accordingly out of courage, out of neutrality, out of willingness with your discernment. You're like, ego, you're trying to get me to think that's a tiger, so you'll get me to smoke weed or eat like shit again. When that's actually a kitty. Look at you. Oh my God, you thought you could mess with me now? Grant gave me the proper tools to fly my private jet through the clouds because I'm going for the sun. I'm going for the sun. All right. Now, I want you guys to take discernment with you because discernment is crucial for navigating complex social, professional, or spiritual arenas. How many of you guys get stressed out or experience anxiety in one of those 3 arenas? Drop a 1 in the chat. Actually, drop a 3 in the chat. Drop a 3 in the chat if you experience tough times navigating complex social, professional, or spiritual arenas. Drop a 3 in the chat. Yup. Those are the main 3 areas, right? Whether it's work and we want to make money, whether it's our friends, family, or our girlfriend. If it's spirituality, right? Why am I not experiencing the transformation I want to experience? Let me get the chat back. Yeah. I'm a 3 life path. All right. So practically, the better you discern, the more effectively you invest your energy in genuine growth, healthy relationships, and life-affirming endeavors. This is that graph of life affirmment, right? If we can practice discernment which is living in conscious congruency, right? Making decisions with this information in the back of our mind, we will experience life-affirming energies, which is compound interest in our favor. That's why I drew the graph like this. Because if you're going to transform, it will feel monotonous. It will feel like this until out of nowhere, you just take off. Because you're starting to experience that spiral of energy. You're starting to experience that spiral of energy. All right. We're moving into chapter 5 right now. We're coming up on an hour, and after we do this, we are going to do a little Q&A sesh. So chapter 5 is integrating your new self. I've got 106 of you here right now. This is what you've been waiting for. How do we take this information Grant gives me on live stream and practice this in everyday life? If there's anything that I want you to stop doom scrolling, stop getting distracted for, it is going to be this right here. Sarah, 3 a.m. in Barcelona. Let's go. Let's go. No more tigers and kitties, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to feel like you're dragon slayers by the end of this. Screw a tiger. I want you to feel like you could chop the head off a 3-headed dragon. That's the type of courage I want you guys to have when you leave this environment. Because this is the sauce. This is the information. This is what the enlightened individuals have embodied and internalized. And the more you can increase your attainment of this knowledge through repetition, the more you're going to program your subconscious mind to thrive in whatever environment. All right. Integrating your new self. So we want to go beyond the aha moment. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys have had an aha moment tonight. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys have had an aha moment tonight. Just a light bulb click. You're like, damn, oh my God, that makes sense. And if you had an aha moment, I want you to drop a like. Drop a like on this video. Drop a like on this live stream. I've been in flow state for an hour now. If that's not something to celebrate with you all, come on. Yeah, we had some aha moments tonight. Let's go. Now, I also want to take a moment with the 103 of you here to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. On Monday, we crossed 10K subs. Today, we crossed 11.2K. We broke the record of the live stream tonight with like 115 people live at once. So I genuinely just want to say thank you for choosing to spend your Friday night with me, your Wednesday night with me, your Monday, investing in whatever type of consumption you do of my content. I hope you guys genuinely gain something from this. This is the information I used to pray for in my deepest, darkest moments of suffering, when I didn't know where to go, who to go to. I wish someone could shine a light like this for me. So I hope you guys got something from this. And we're going to bring it home now, and then we'll do a little Q&A. How about that? So we want to be able to integrate beyond the aha moment. Now, true transformation isn't just one grand insight. It's living that insight consistently. So 1, we need to live the insight. But we don't need to just live it once. We need to live it consistently. All right. While I have you guys here, 103 of you, I want you to drop a comment in the chat if you have an idea about how you're going to live these insights consistently. It doesn't have to be some grandeur thing. If you're just going to journal with this level of awareness, tell me that. Tell me how you're going to try and live this insight consistently, because we're going to call on the collective consciousness right now and get information from everyone. And then everyone's going to get ideas. Kaisar says, be in the moment. That's a great one. But what are you going to do in that moment? Chris says, teach it. I like that. That's a good one. That's how you integrate it. Yes, Louise. Yes, Louise. I know you were one of the first comments saying that's what you were looking for. That is some, come on, Louise, let's go. He said, when I think something negative, I'm going to identify the ego and say it's not me. Exactly. That's what you're going to do. Be non-reactive. I love that, Justin. Chans, I like the wallpaper idea. Yeah, Matt says, I'm going to ride the waves, not be so reactive. Randy says, when I face resistance, I'm going to remember it's my ego and view the resistance as kitties and not insurmountable issues. Yes, that's why that metaphor works so well. Because you're like, oh, you're just a little kitty. I'm not afraid of you. I'd be battling 3-headed dragons. Come on. Andres, I like that. He said, I'm going to be still and recognize that I am God. But you need to be 10 toes down because you can get lost in the spiritual ego too. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually, but we need to start with this information. Now, once you've released old resistances, step 1, right? Those invisible ceilings right here on the lower spectrum of consciousness. Release old resistances. Once you recognize your ego, step 2, realize that those resistances are self-imposed by the ego. And you've crossed the threshold into higher consciousness, right? Step 1 and 2 get you to here. So step 3, higher consciousness. Step 2, ego. Step 1, realize the resistance. What do? You must weave these realizations into your everyday life. This is why my personal philosophy, everyone's like, Grant, how much do you meditate? Grant, how much do you journal? I'm a walking journal and meditation, ladies and gentlemen, right? That is how you deal with what life throws your way in the moment. You don't try and internalize it and run away from it, be like, oh my God, I'll deal with this later. Let me numb myself. Then you're just affirming what the ego wants. I want you guys to practice being in walking meditation, right? And if you're in a state of a walking journal meditation, right, when you journal, you navigate these thoughts as they come in. You realize that, hey, that's the ego. That's a kitty. I'm not going to be bound by that. I'm not going to identify with that. You can't control the first thought, but you can control the second one. Josue says, is there a point where the ego shuts off? Maybe the enlightened masters get there. Maybe the enlightened masters gets there. But the ego will always be there. The enlightened masters just know how to deal with it. They know how to realize and be the observer of it. Right? This is why you experience big karmic loops, because you don't recognize the ego quick enough. Here's an example, full transparency for me. I would be sober from weed for 6 months, and then I would smoke it, and I'd smoke it for 3 months and numb myself. That was 3 months of me not recognizing the ego. When if I had the urge to smoke it, I could have recognized the ego before I identified the experience that sent me into grief, fear, or desire. That's an example of a walking meditation that could be on a 3-month time scale, or you could have done it in 3 seconds when that impulse or desire came up, right? If you want to have that 3-second type of awareness, you need to practice it. And you practice it by making decisions and living intentionally. And how do we do that? We do that through embodiment. Because embodiment is a state of being. Louise says, bro, what's a karmic cycle? Well, karma is what you get from making decisions. And I want you to think of a cycle as a loop. It is a reactive loop based on the decisions you make and you react to, which sends you down that spiral. James says, if I observe the thoughts, which I do, I struggle realizing it's not true and reacting to it. And that's probably because you're not applying these teachings. Because if you apply these teachings, you'd be able to do something about it. Which is why Dr. Hawkins says it's not just one grand insight. It's not just one aha moment. Because the observing is an aha moment. Aha, that's the ego. Now what do? How do I respond to it? You have to have a response to that. All right. Now, what Joe Dispenza says, embodiment means that new neural networks are formed and reinforced through daily habits. This is why daily habits, right? Habitual actions are going to be the thing that allow you to transcend the aha moment. I want you guys to drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've had an aha moment, but you haven't done anything about it, which sent you back on that spiral you want to avoid. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've had an aha moment, but you didn't do anything about it, so you just fell back into your old ways. I know I have. Someone drop a 1 in the chat for me. Multiple 1s in the chat for me. Exactly. People have had this experience. Now, the deeper commitment to practice is how you shift from short-term breakthroughs to long-term transformation. How many of you guys, when you're in this live setting with me, feel like transformation is inevitable? I want you to drop a 6 in the chat if you feel like you can transform, right? If you feel like you can actually take the proper actions with this information. See, this is the power of community. This is the power of community because we are in a mastermind right now. We are in a collective conscious. You see, I can help shine light on the subconscious programs of 107 people live. But that's the power of community. A lot of 6. A lot of 6s. Let's go. Exactly. That's the power of this community. Now, I'm not doing anything yet, but I want you to drop an 8 in the chat if you would join my community. If I dropped a community right now, imagine it was like a spiritually disciplined community and it was all about embodiment. So it's all about actually living these aha moments in everyday life. Would you join? Drop an 8 in the chat if you would join that community. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Matt, you got me dead. You said 8. Ryan says probably. Well, I'm not letting half-ass people in the community, Ryan. So you have to have conviction when you make that decision because that's where transformation begins. Probably is not courageous. 8, 8, 8. All right, good. I just want to know. Are you guys happy with the lives, though? Have you guys been enjoying the lives? Listen, we're holding over the record from last time pretty consistently right now. You guys enjoy the lives? Do you guys like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule? I've been thinking about going live on Tuesday and Thursday mornings for the international audience, right? Because I got people all around the world that are sleeping right now. Oh, yeah. People like the lives. Let's go. Let's go. Now, I want to leave you with this final point before we get into our little Q&A session. We just chat, okay? Without the integration, without this embodiment, without living the insight consistently, personal growth remains theoretical. It just remains theoretical. It is a fleeting glimpse of what could be. You guys, I've dreamt about doing this for so long. I've experienced the fleeting glimpse long enough. This is me embodying my insight. This is me embodying my aha moments. You have to practice what you preach. So I hope I'm showing you guys how this applies to my everyday life too. Yeah, Mr. Royal Flush, this will be on the channel. Sarah, I'm glad you feel the transformation, especially when you're half asleep in Barcelona right now. Nick says those are fantastic mornings to hear from you. Hey, happy 40th birthday, Jake. Happy 40th birthday. You're sharing it with 108 people right now. Everyone drop a happy birthday to Jake in the chat. He's chilling. He can't walk right now. Drop a happy birthday. All right, whatever. You're getting a happy birthday regardless, Jake. This is the community. This is the love. Thank you guys for saying happy birthday to Jake. Let's go. Look at the community. It's 4 a.m. in France and Hugo's chilling with us. Do you guys not feel the energy and the power? We're not even in a live setting yet. This is amazing. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. Oh my God. The stream's been going for an hour and 11 minutes. Did this happen last time? Ladies and gentlemen, did this crazy shit happen last time? I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting teary-eyed. You just made Jake's night, and the stream was going for an hour and 11 minutes. 111. Don't make me do that again. Don't make me do that again. Drop a 111 in the chat if you remember last stream. Drop a 111 in the chat if you remember what I did last stream. I know a bunch of you were here right now when I did that. Yes, we got the confirmation. We got the confirmation, ladies and gentlemen. If that ain't proof in the pudding that when Joe Dispenza says, you touch the quantum and a magical moment will happen back, we align with the divine. And we did it together. We did it together. I want to be walking and living proof that this works. Drop a 9 in the chat if we practice in what we preach. Drop a 9 in the chat if we practice what we preach. Yeah. We practice what we preach. We practice what we preach. All right. The last thing I want is for you guys to have to chase that fleeting experience and that glimpse of what could be. So you have a promise for me right now. My hand on the spiritual, metaphysical, and religious Bible, whatever you subscribe to. My one goal is transformation. Because you can access the information anywhere, but it's the integration and the embodiment that I'm dedicating my life to. And I want you guys to join me on that journey. I want you guys to join me on that journey. Because it takes courage to embody that shift. It takes courage to embody that change. And we're going to do it together. This is the power of a mastermind. This is the power of a collective consciousness. I want to show you guys that you are not alone in this journey. You are not alone in this journey. And we're going to walk this road together. That's my promise to you. So let's get into a summary of what we chatted about tonight, right? We're going to summarize the entire lecture. The first thing you need to overcome in order to transcend lower states of consciousness, step one, right here, resistance. Because resistance is the signal that something within you wants healing or release. Something with you wants to be healed. Something within you wants to be released. And it's the energy, because your natural course and trajectory is up here. That's why you experience resistance, because you're not supposed to go that way. You're supposed to stop the fighting, because what you're resisting is persisting. Chris, my brother healed Crohn's disease too. My brother healed Crohn's disease too. So respect to you. Josue, you're not alone. You're not alone. We in this together. Number 2, crossing the 200 threshold, right? So this opens the door to a world of authentic power rather than force. Force is when we're prideful, when we're doing it for an outcome. Power is authentic. That's what I'm trying to show you guys right now. The power of authenticity. What you guys see right now is Grant. All pride and bullshit aside, everything you feel, the energy, the connection, it's raw, it's real, it's authentic, it's me. And that took me being courageous. Number 3, letting go of the ego. Through radical subjectivity, you can liberate yourself from self-imposed limitations. Radical subjectivity is no longer identifying with the ego, right? No longer identifying with the thoughts, fears, and worries and becoming the observer. It's becoming the observer. Number 4, discernment, right? When you're above courage, you can tell the difference between a tiger and a kitty. We just got to tell the difference between a tiger and a kitty. That's going to be our new inside joke. That's our new inside joke, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime I drop a YouTube video, I want you to tell me about your tigers and kitties. Tell me about your tigers and kitties. And people are like, what the hell are they on right now? That's the new inside joke. And 5th and finally, the integration and the embodiment. All right. Integration cements these insights into your everyday life, transforming knowledge into embodied wisdom. This transforms knowledge into embodied wisdom. And that's what we're going to do from here on out. Drop a 1 in the chat if you are going to embark on the journey with courage and embody this wisdom with me. With me. If you're going to do it with me and with everyone in this community, drop a 1 in the chat. Let's go. I want to see the chat light up right now. These are the fireworks. These are the fireworks for the end of the stream. Are you going to embody this wisdom? And are you going to do it with the people who want to embark on this journey with you? Yeah. That's what I like to see. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Those were the fireworks for the stream. Now, you guys want to do a live stream? You guys want to do a little Q&A session right now? I want you to drop a 3 in the chat if you're ready for a little yap session, a little Q&A. You just want to chat and hang out. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you guys get the workbook, right? Because this is going to have all this information. Everything that I talked about is going to be in there in the form of a detailed guide. So it's pinned in the chat. I don't know why I'm pointing up here. I can see it. It's pinned in the chat. It's pinned in the chat. So make sure to get that. All right. We're at 1 hour and 18 minutes right now. We'll do a little Q&A sesh till 1 hour and 30 minutes. And then I'm going to try and catch the rest of the basketball games, the March Madness. Take care, Ryan. Thanks for showing up to the live. Andre says, can you specify on how to prevent the ego from smoking weed? Well, you have to think about what is the point of smoking weed, to numb yourself. Why are you trying to numb yourself? Because you're running away from something you do not want to feel, right? That feeling isn't associated with your familiar state that your ego is used to. And because it's not associated with that familiar state, you're going to do something to numb yourself, to no longer feel the change, right? That's why you experience that cycle. Chris says it's not always to numb. Listen, if you truly understood what was going on in reality, you're disconnecting yourself from God. You're disconnecting yourself from the source to put things in your body. What experience gave you complete belief in these concepts? That's what AG is asking. What experience gave you complete belief in these concepts? It was the one thing that I always came back to when I went to start a new business, when I went and pursued a new girlfriend, when I went to the bars and I drank, when I used to smoke the weed. This was the one thing I always came back to, because truth is absolute. There's a video I post on my Instagram story, and it says truth is God. And the guy that I talked about all of this stuff tonight, Dr. David R. Hawkins, he made a video on that. Exactly, in the clouds. The road to hell feels like heaven because, of course, disconnection feels comfortably numb. Beautiful. Jay asks, how long do you fast for? I try and fast like 16 hours a day. So like 8 p.m. to whatever that is, like maybe 10 to noon, right? That's intermittent fasting. And then sometimes I'll just do 72 to 96 hour fast where I'll just raw dog that. Like I literally won't eat. I'll just drink water and electrolytes. That is a crazy experience if you guys ever do that. Ego says, Shelly, I like that. Ego is edging out God. That's exactly what it is. You're just like, I know more than the divine mind that got me here. How can we take massive action? By starting small. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If I want to meditate 15 minutes, I have a daily routine. I will put meditate for 1 minute because I lowered my ceiling of completion and I raised the floor to get the dopamine. Yes, in the cloud says all you need. Happy Go Rucky says, would you enable super chats? I don't know yet. Thank you for funding my coffee addiction. Eventually there will be like resources, subconscious reprogramming audios, like 7-day cohorts and stuff like that. But we're not there yet. I like just hanging out with you guys. I get enough abundance from being here with you. Louise says, have you made content on how to meditate? No, but should I? Should I make a video on like how I would personally do the Joe Dispenza meditations to get the most out of it and actually get transformation? All right, I'm gonna get my chair, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. All right. Chat is coming down. Here we are. Up close and personal. Chris says, Grant, what live events have you been to? None. The real life event is life. Trust me, you get enough information from life. That's also like a big thing I want to share with you guys is like, I think one of the main issues is that we've put these gurus and these teachers and these celebrities and these politicians on pedestals, which makes it feel like success and transformation is on this pedestal when it's not. Like that's the whole point I'm making the content I want to make is to show you guys that we're no different. James Thomas says, what are your thoughts on visualization and the ego saying it doesn't work? Well, the real way to experience visualization is to go do it. Like to go live the life you want to live. Because then you actually will visualize and internalize and embody the experience. Chans, I appreciate you, bro. Take care of yourself. It's all love. Oh, yeah, Louise, full circle. Going to a 7-day Joe Dispenza seminar, what should I do to prepare? I think the first thing you should do is write down all your limiting beliefs going into it. Try and create awareness of what the ego is going to do to prevent you from the experience you want. Keon says, did you learn all these things from reading books? Honestly, no. I've consumed like just a lot of different media on it, right? Like podcasts, YouTube videos, reading some books. But I like to say that I think in synchronicity, right? So I think in patterns. That's why I talk about so many different teachers. That's why I talked about Dr. David R. Hawkins, Joe Dispenza, and Taoism. 3 completely separate people, all with the same knowledge. Joe Sway says, besides everyday life, how do you keep learning? I think always filling your mind with new information is great because that'll just give you a new lens to experience life through. That's a great way to do it. I'd say challenge yourself, do the things you don't want to do, because on the other side of that uncomfortability lies the transformation and wisdom, right? I subscribe to the thought pattern that thought, or what is it? Knowledge plus experience equates to wisdom. So if I have knowledge from reading books, I need to experience something to internalize it and turn it into wisdom. That's how you master the mental realm and the physical realm and create wisdom. Yes, Neville Goddard. The Infinite Potential book by Neville Goddard is great because you just learn about the I am consciousness. All right, I talked about this last time, but I got 85 of you here right now. Latrell says, do you follow numerology? Actually, one of my really good friends is like really deep into numerology. So yes, because of him, I'm tapped in with that. All right. I got a question for you guys. If I did a 7-day subconscious reprogramming cohort where it would be like 7 days of live streams, right? We'd come into this environment. I'd give you guys information. You would get workbooks. You get subconscious reprogramming audios. You get one-on-one time. You get meditations. And you would get a community aspect to it. Drop a 1 in the chat if you would do that with me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you would do that with me. I got 85 of you here. I know a lot of you guys would do that with me. Come on. I want to see some 1s in the chat. Let's go. All right. The reason I asked is because I think I'm going to do it with like 10 people, right? This would be the first ever group cohort, and it would be for 10 people. And you would have to join a wait list. You'd have to apply. And the reason I'm thinking about doing it that way is because I just want to make sure I can actually provide transformation for 10, and then we would open the door for others. Does that sound good? Do you like the idea of the cohort being more intimate? Matt says, I'll be your guinea pig. Yeah, I need 10 guinea pigs. I want you to drop a 2 in the chat if you like the idea of doing it more in an intimate setting, right? It would be virtual. Let me preface that. It would be virtual. So it would be this, but just on steroids, right? This is just a live stream. I can only do so much. So it would be virtual. It would be on Zoom. I wouldn't host any live streams on YouTube for that week. So you guys would get all my attention, right? And by the end of it, my goal would be the embodiment, right? Right here. I can give you all the aha moments, but I want you to have the tools to embody it. So it would be a 7 days of embodiment, right? 7 days of embodying that subconscious reprogramming change. Oh yeah, you guys are about it. You guys are about it. I love to see that. Now, we talked about this last time, and we're going to talk about it this time. If it's only for 10 people and it's for 5 to 7 days, what is a fair price? I want to do the whole regenerative entrepreneurship thing. What is a fair price for me to do this with 10 of you? Thomas says, I go to Dr. Joe's and Peter Crohn's and definitely would be into yours. Thank you for that. That's a compliment. For a 25-year-old kid just doing this, I appreciate that. But this is your chance. This is your chance to tell me. We're doing the whole community thing right now. Chris says, what does your higher self tell you? A fair price is what you say. I think for 10 people, $500 is fair. Just for entry. I got 93 of you here right now. I want you to drop a 1 if that sounds fair for just 10 people. And by the way, I'm not selling anything. And I would do payment plans. I would do payment plans for people. And you guys, I also like this idea of having a scholarship. So like everyone that does the cohort, they get the ability to donate, right? So you could donate like $6, $7, $10, whatever you want, and we could give away a scholarship ticket. And I'm going to name it the Tracy Lynn Bentavania Scholarship for Better Days. That is my mom. That is my mom. And I told her one day I would create a foundation in her name because I would not be here without her. So everything would be donated to the Tracy Lynn Foundation for Better Days. And every dollar to come through there would be so we could give it to others and give them an experience to lift them up in the world and give them a chance at better days. You guys like that idea? James, why are you trying to do business with me right now? This is what's different. I'm going to be fully transparent with 87 of you guys right now. Okay? I'm going to be fully transparent with 87 of you guys right now. I used to be the online entrepreneur. I used to be that internet kid. Like you see my videos. I talk about how I've made $51,000 in a day or $45,000 an hour. I'm not doing that anymore. This is me embodying my truth. This is me having courage that is not about the money. Something, my deep internal realization, Chris was like, what does your higher self tell you? My higher self tells me to choose people, not a dollar. Like this is full transparency and authenticity right now. I don't want to exhaust the cohort. I want to do it with 10 people that are committed to know that they're going to show up and actually have the courage to experience change. That's real. I'm serious. Like, I don't want to do it like that anymore. Like, I actually just want to make this my life. So this is why I'm investing in the regenerative entrepreneurship thing. Because if I guys give you a service and a product that you actually think will transform your life, and we all decide on a fair price, and it allows me to pursue my purpose and live in my highest frequency at all times, then it's a win-win-win. It's a win-win-win. Everyone's like, where's the payment link? I haven't dropped one yet. So I want you guys to stay tuned. We're just doing this as a community thing right now. Kathleen says, I really think you should do more than 10 people. So I would also release recordings. I know 7 days is a lot. So if you can't make one day, you can't make one session, you would still have things to do in everyday life, right? Because I'm not going to be able to be in your everyday life. The live streams are just the live portion of it, right? It'd be 2-3 hours, maybe probably 2 hours, right? This is an hour and 36 minutes. I can give you guys a lot of information. And then we'd have an integration channel or an integration hour where we actually talk about doing this, right? Like, how do we practice this in everyday life? And I give you guys meditations. I give you guys subconscious reprogramming, all the things, right? There would be a community aspect to it. So we take the community that I built online and we do it with 20 of you guys, and we all do it as a mastermind. All right. If I open it up to more than 10 people, I got 89 of you guys right here for $500. Drop a 1 if you're going to be there. I need to, if you guys would actually do it, be honest. Chris, well, I can't 500. I live in Brazil. Well, you might be a scholarship winner. Drop a 1 in the chat. I'm not selling anything right now. But if you would actually do this, if in a metaphorical world, I just dropped a link for $500 right now, are you joining? This is what I've worked out so far. It's an hour to 2 hours, like it'd be 90 minutes to 2 hours of live stream, right? Where I give you aha moments. Then I would give you subconscious links or subconscious audios that I personally film in audios to actually transform your mind. And I would give you activities to do, right? Whether that's meditations, workbooks, all this stuff. Nick Swanson says, investing $500 in knowledge is a kitty that feels like a lion for lots of folks. That's great. That's great because that's what it is. Chris says that's over 21, maybe. Did you count? You deleted your message. You guys know I got 11,000 YouTube subscribers. I got 13K on Instagram. So like I would open this up to them too. But this is just 81 people right now. With the 81 of you here, I could fill up all the spots. But I'm just doing the community work right now. You guys got to understand that you got to build the product with me type of thing. The tiger for me is the available time. Well, it'd be at night. You're on the stream right now. Anthony says, $500 may seem like a lot, but it's not. I get that. But you got to understand, like, I actually just want to be of service, right? Thomas says, as long as you don't use Bruce Lipton's voice in the subconscious programming. Louis says, I'm a 10x that 500. Yeah, it'd be a worthy investment. All right. For all of you that would join, if I opened it up right now and I was like, all right, this is your guys' one chance to get in on the pre-order, what price would you want to buy it at? What price would you want to buy it at? I want you to tell me, because Anthony's telling me that $500 is too little. James Thomas, $500 to change a life and open up the infinite a bit. Luis, $4.99. I got 76 of you guys here right now. If you guys have been enjoying my content, enjoying my live streams, I would genuinely appreciate if you engaged and you helped me. Anthony says the $500 would be with an El Patron bottle. Mike says $500. Oh, my neck. Yeah, I would do payment plans. $500 allows people in who ordinarily wouldn't be able to. Yes, that is true. Shelly's in. Shelly, I know you're in. Mike, I know you're in. Anthony, I know you're in. Luis, we can make it happen for you too. But this wouldn't be like the only one. Yes, Kathleen says this is your beta test. 100%. $500 will probably be the basic entry. And now here's what I'll do. I'll release like an automated version of it, right? So we'd have the 10 to 20 people that do it live. And then we would drop the price for people that want to show up. Like after the event, if people want to just buy it and watch it and get access to that information, they can buy it too. Luis says, bro, got everything planned out. Kind of, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? The entire business model might be on the other side of this whiteboard. No. Diane says yes to the meditations. Meditations. Kathleen likes the idea of opening it up to people after. Yup. James supports, but he wants the scholarship. All right, now with 75 of you here, I want you to give me ideas, things that you would want to see in that community setting, things you'd want to see teaching. Give me some ideas right now that you would want to see in that. Luis wants the meditations. Luis says journaling. I like that. Breath work, I like that. Chris says for 20 people or 10. We'll see. We probably had a decent amount of people on live tonight. Anthony says, I can suggest ideas, but you are the man. Teach what you want. Insight and inquiry. I like that, James. Anthony, I appreciate that. Kiko, you want to chime in about what? I just wanted to chime in to ask about my coaching offer. Kiko says, you do collab lives. No. What you getting on about, mate? Kiko. Identifying and eliminating limiting beliefs. I like that. No collab deals yet. No collab deals yet. Identity shifting. Yup. I appreciate you, James. Thanks for showing out tonight. Louis says, show us the daily routine we should be doing to achieve success on the spiritual side. I like that. I like that. Kiko Bell said, where do you find your coaching? Well, for one-on-one coaching, it's $8,000. And I normally do that with like entrepreneurs or like established individuals, because I can provide like a more one-on-one transformation for them. Like I just filled the 5th spot for, I only take on 5 people a month for that. And I just onboarded the 5th person yesterday. So right now that's closed. I don't have a waiting list for it. And I took the book a call down. Kiko, I made no assumption about you. I just told you what the program's about. Gabriel says hair care. I'm getting a haircut, guys. What if I told you I'm buzzing my hair? Would you guys be opposed to that? I got a haircut on Sunday and I'm buzzing it all off. Zzz. That'd probably be criminal in this community. What's up, Joey? What's up, Dad? My dad just texted me like we're watching. So he wanted to shout out. Love you guys. James, you can send me a DM. I'll put my thing in the chat. And everyone says, what's up to my dad? Everyone say, hi, Dad and Joey. I got 68 of you right now. Say hi, Dad and Joey. We got a big happy birthday for the guy earlier when everyone was on. Now we got the 65 people. Dad, can you see the chat? Everyone's saying hi, Dad and Joey. And then he says, hola, papa. Mike says, daddy-o. Are we going to the golf range in Las Olas on Sunday? You guys, the tradition with my dad is we go to this one breakfast Mexican food spot by the beach every Sunday with my brothers, and then after that we go to the golf range. My dad said, yeah, we are going. Dad, we broke our record tonight. We had like 115 plus people live. And then with 97 likes, it's probably like 1,000 total viewers-ish. Anthony Ware in San Diego. Appreciate you, Makitos. Impacts, like, I'd love to hear you speak about how you go about creating your content when you're speaking into such vast topics. I just let it flow, you know? Like, I just realize, like, I don't need to judge myself for what I'm talking about or get anxious or fear that I'm saying the wrong thing. Like, I think one of the easiest ways to enter flow state is to do it selflessly, right? Like, I'm not here if I were being selfish right now, I'd be on the couch eating brownies that my roommate made watching college basketball, but I'm just here chatting. And I think when I do it for you guys and I put this entire thing together, like, it's not about me. And in order to understand the complex topics, I look for patterns, I look for synchronicities, right? Like separation is an illusion and that it all stems from the same place. Chris says, still want to know your story. How did you get here? Well, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was 17, 18. We'll make this story short. Got started in drop shipping, this and that. I went to San Diego State and I got into the fraternity and, started to have a little too much fun, and that wasn't the best for me. And then one of my younger brothers got super sick, thank God he's healed now, but that was like a really gnarly time in our household, right? Like that darkness showed me like, oh, like there is a spiritual side to life. Like there is dark times and you can find the light at the end of the tunnel type of thing. And in that process, I started a clothing brand called Better Days. It was a mental health clothing brand in honor of my brother. That did well. Then debt. Don't invest in physical products. That can be a tough business. So I had to build out of that. And I did that by starting a creator monetization agency where I partnered with big influencers and built their businesses and back ends. And throughout the course of that journey, I was aiming to come to like a deeper conclusion about the meaning of life, right? What's the whole point of the lows? What's the whole point of the highs? And what's the whole point of everything in between? And I just got introduced to these concepts. I've had some of my own awakening moments. Like the first one was literally with my dad. Like he's here in the chat. I think he was asleep on the couch, but it was with me and my youngest brother on the beach. That was like the first thing where I'm like, oh, like spiritual awakening, reality shattered type of thing. Shelly, I saw that you do affiliate marketing. I like that for you. And then I ran my creator business for like 2 years. We did well. And then just that relationship came to like a shelf life, right? And I wasn't fulfilled doing that work anymore. It just became like a job. And this entire time I've been passionate about people and purpose and transformation and just giving people information I wish I had that would have changed my life. And now that's what I'm having the courage to embark on full time. Take the leap of faith. Chris, I hope that was a good story. It's the Cliff Notes. I said we go, of course, Chris. Authenticity. I said I'd go for an hour and a half, but we're here at an hour and 53 minutes. 62 of you here. Thank you so much for embarking with me on tonight's live stream. This was a great one. I'm going to put the recording on for the international audience to watch tomorrow. Shelly, you changed your own life. I just created an environment for you to thrive. These answers are within all of you. That's the secret. If you think you can't, it's an illusion. But I'm glad you've experienced such transformation in a short period of time. Thank you guys for saying happy birthday to that guy earlier. That made his day. He wasn't feeling his best. It was his 40th birthday. So it was nice. We had like 100 some of you all wishing him happy birthday. That was awesome. I think we're going to call it here. Got nothing much left on my end. I appreciate you guys. We're at 11,200 subscribers. Thank you so much for everything. It really means a lot. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. And I really want you guys to remember that. Like, it takes two to tango here. So I appreciate you for embarking on this journey with me. And we are going to go live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays at 6:30 p.m. PST and do whiteboard sessions. Always going to show up for you guys. We're going to be making YouTube content too. And then I'm thinking about doing Tuesday and Thursday mornings for the international audience, because people in Tokyo and Spain and Australia, like, they just got a completely different schedule. So I want to do my best to take care of them. We got Brazil in the chat, Gabriel. Oh, we got Wesley from Brazil too. Thank you, Shelly. You have a good weekend too. Hopefully we got some March Madness on. Hey, what's up from San Diego to Brazil? All right. Love you guys. Thank you for everything. Great stream. This is going live. I will catch you in the next one.